graded stakes race on opening day at Santa Anita is the Grade 2 Mathis Mile. 3-year-olds going 1 mile on turf. And this race in recent history has been largely dominated by horses coming out of the Hollywood Derby. The Hollywood Derby is one of the premier races, age-restricted races for 3-year-olds in the year. And the last chance for 3-year-olds to run against their own age group is in the Mathis on opening day at Santa Anita. I call it the Hollywood Derby effect. 6 of the last 8 Mathis Mile winners came out of the Hollywood Derby, and yet they've only accounted for 1/3 of the Mathis starters. So they won 75% of the time, even though only 1/3 of the starters in the Mathis came out of the Hollywood Derby. I bring it up because the favorite on the morning line is the Hollywood Derby winner, Beyond Brilliant. And Beyond Brilliant is rock solid. Since returning to turf, he's the 5-2 favorite, number 8, Beyond Brilliant, trained by John Sheriffs. Since returning to turf and adopting or readopting a front-running style, Beyond Brilliant has been pretty doggone good. And even though he was a long shot last time out in the Hollywood Derby, he went wire to wire. He was the first horse in a year and a half to win a 9-furlong grass race at Del Mar, setting the pace at every call. Now, there's only been about 15 9-furlong grass races at Del Mar during that time, but I only bring it up just to suggest that it's tough to do what Beyond Brilliant did, race wire to wire going 9 furlongs on grass at Del Mar. Now, the difference between 9 furlongs and 8 furlongs, in my opinion, is like night and day. At 9 furlongs, sometimes a horse can get out there and get loose on the lead. The fractions are often slow. They get into a comfort zone and they just gallop around and they never come back. Sometimes mile turf races, or shorter races, I should say, in general, typically unfold at a quicker pace. And those horses that got loose on the lead going 1 1/8 sometimes have a more difficult time getting loose on the lead going 1 mile. I'm not sure that's the case, however, because this field includes only one other front runner, and that's number 5, Cane Creek Road, who's coming out of a claiming race. So Beyond Brilliant conceivably could have another easy time of it on the front end, either pressing Cane Creek Road from the outside or just taking control early and trying to wire the field at this shorter distance. Beyond Brilliant is the best horse in this field. Du Jour is a graded stakes winner making his comeback. He's the 3-1 second choice on the morning line. But there's a horse in here. He's my second preference, but I will be betting my money on him. And I'm referring to number 9, Law Professor. He's the son of Constitution, trained by Mike McCarthy. And early this year, I should say, he actually was a rapidly improving 3-year-old, and they took a shot in the Santa Anita Derby. He wasn't good enough, and this is a horse that was very rambunctious around the barn. In fact, he was incorrigible. And by the time spring rolled around, McCarthy said, it's not going to work out for Law Professor unless we go for the ultimate equipment change. And so that's exactly what they did. Law Professor was castrated prior to his June 18th race, and the improvement was immediate. He finished 3rd, and then McCarthy gave him the summer off and brought him back in a one other than against Older at Del Mar. And we're going to take a look at the stretch run of Law Professor coming wide into the stretch on the far outside. And he's going to run past, and he'll win by less than a length, but it was a very decisive win. And it looks to me like he had something left at the wire. That's Law Professor winning clear. When you get a chance, after watching this video, go back, fire up Formulator, and take a look at the entire race. Law Professor was 4 wide, at least, from start to finish. And he still won with something left in the tank. It was a more impressive victory than it looks on paper. Now, yes, he's taking a jump in class. I'm not sure how much of a jump up in class it is, however, because when Beyond Brilliant won the Grade 1 Hollywood Derby, he was still eligible to the second allowance condition. That's exactly what Law Professor, the same class angle. Law Professor is still eligible for a 2 other than, but he's in this Mathis Mile. He is a miler, at least right now, I think, Law Professor, and he's not challenged by surface. I don't think that I think Law Professor could actually show up on dirt later this winter at Santa Anita. He's on turf right now because it's his last chance to run against 3-year-olds. It's a long-winded way of saying this. Law Professor is a better horse than that marginal victory in the allowance race looks. And last Sunday at Santa Anita, in a team workout with Friars Road is an older graded stakes horse. Well, Law Professor blew that horse away. It was a dirt workout by 2 grass horses, so take that into consideration. But the point is this: Law Professor blew away a very good, accomplished older horse. Now, he'll have to take another step forward to defeat Beyond Brilliant, but I don't see any reason why he cannot do that. Let's take a look at Beyond Brilliant's win last time out in the Grade 1 Hollywood Derby. As I mentioned before, he's a better horse since moving to grass, and he's a better horse since they determined that this is what he wants to do: go to the lead and dare to be caught. Beyond Brilliant racing gate to wire in the Hollywood Derby. And by the way, the runner-up, Santine, he ran dynamite. He was wide every step of the way. Santine's not in the Mathis Mile, but you might want to put him on your horses to watch list because Santine ran super. So did Beyond Brilliant. He's the best horse in the Mathis Mile. He could be the speed of the field if he stays out of the way of Cane Creek Road. But this is another situation where I will be betting on my second preference, and that's Law Professor. He's listed 8-1, and he could spring an upset in the Mathis Mile. Race number 7 on Sunday at Santa Anita.